Hello, welcome back. I am here on behalf of Create to Learn, Taking It Global, and imagineNATIVE. My name is Wiidaaseh, and we're just going to continue off from where we left off in the last video, which was just a small introduction onto opening Ableton and, getting ready in the arrangement view. So now we're just going to go straight into it. Immediately, we're just going to jump into creating a little bit of a beat. Nothing too crazy. I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible because I believe that a lot of music creativity comes from exploration, and it's very important that I give you basics and then you go and explore all of this stuff yourself, and it really gives your music an identity, a personality, because it's music that's made by you. So I'm just going to be showing you very basic stuff here. So if we zoom in here, and we can just grab this up here. You see this little magnifying glass? We're just going to grab onto it, and we're going to drag down, and that's going to zoom in for us. So as you can see here, this is the first bar. This is the second bar, third, fourth. We won't go too much into crazy music theory, but each bar is made up of 4 beats. So if we want to turn on the metronome up here, which is these 2 little dots right here, we're going to turn that on, and you can hear 4 clicks. So that is 4 beats within a bar, and this is the first bar. So we'll just count this out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's to keep you in time as you make music and as you produce with your MIDI. It's a very helpful tool, a metronome. You should get used to using this in production. And in any music in general, it just helps you keep your pace and it helps you stay on time. Obviously, there are tools in Ableton that help with that kind of stuff, but it is still very good practice to learn how to use this metronome up here. Most music that we're going to be making today, all the music we're going to be making today is going to be in 4/4. So that's 4 beats. That's 4 beats in a bar. And this other little 4 here recognizes that a quarter note is 1 beat. So this is quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, quarter note. And there's 4 of those. And there's 4 beats. Simple stuff. Not so simple stuff, but that's as simple as we're going to get. This right here is the beats per minute, the BPM. So this basically dictates how fast or how slow your composition is going to be. So we were at 120, but if we want to go down to a very popular BPM, we can go down to 90. And you can see how it significantly slows down. So that's something that you can play around with. A lot of different music genres play with different BPMs, so it really does depend on what you're going for. But then again, don't be limited by that. If you want to make like a rap song at 200 BPM, go for it, man. Get crazy. So let's just jump right into it. We're going to start at 120 BPM. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put it down to 110. How about that? We'll go down to 110. Let's just try to insert some MIDI here. So we're just going to click and drag on this. We're going to get right here to the 4. So we have 4 beats. Sorry, 4 bars right here. Actually, this would be 4 bars. We're just going to right click, and you'll see this drop down menu here. And we want to insert a MIDI clip right here. It's right under consolidate and consolidate to new time source. We're just going to insert right here. So this is going to pop up once you do that. And so you're going to see this big piano roll here. And this might look a little bit intimidating, but it's going to be a lot of fun once you start getting to know how to use it. In relation to this right here, we have these buttons up here on the right. So you can see that I have a keyboard here and this actual little keyboard here, and then this what looks like a crayon. So if I click this crayon and I want to draw something in, we just, left click it. There you go. So you can see that I am now putting in different beats, different things that I want an instrument to do. Now you might be saying right now, well, where's the instrument, right? If I press play, we'll turn the metronome off just for now. You can see that there's no input, there's no instrument. Well, there is input. If you see on the right here, this is the levels. You can see that there is, there's something going on here, but you can't hear anything. So this is where we're going to go to our instruments. And these are, so we're going to go to our sounds. So these are the instruments that you can attach to a MIDI. So just for this occasion, let's put in, I don't know, some pianos or something. Let's just listen. So these are the sounds that come with Ableton Intro. And as I said before, when you're on the site, you can see that they offer more sounds as you go up into standard and into suite. So we're just going to listen. You know, what do we want? Let's just go for the simplest piano because we're trying to be simple, right? So we just double click on that, and it actually is now a part of this MIDI track. This is now the instrument that this MIDI track is going to be sampling. Sounds beautiful, wonderful. And let's say we don't want any of this. You can very easily press B on your keyboard, or you can go up here and press it again. And basically we'll just like delete this. Maybe we don't like it. Maybe we want to get rid of it. So let's try to program something, I don't know, just a little, let's just throw some notes. Let's just throw some notes on here and see what happens. So not the prettiest thing in the world, but for demonstration purposes, we'll just get rid of this right here. This bar down here will show you information basically down here. But if we go over to the right here, we can zoom in and we can see the specifics. So we can drag this out a little more. And another fun thing we can do once you get a little more heavy into the theory of the music is you can see this grid here. So if we want this grid, my grid I think is on 132. We can go to 116, and you can see how these gray blocks here get smaller, and you can put them in a more fixed position. Let's go to 1.8. You can see they even get smaller. That's mostly just playing around with a fixed position that the note will have. This is in relation to a quarter note. This is an 8th note, a 16th note, and a 32nd note. When you get into that, obviously there's different time signatures and different things that come into play. But for very basic production, I would say go on 1/8. That sounds so beautiful. And just an example here. What if I wanted to stretch this out right here? So that would become a longer. That'd become a much longer note. Maybe you want to stretch it out even more. Maybe you want to stretch this out. Maybe you want them just to connect a little bit, or just barely connect. Not the prettiest anything, but of course we are learning and experimenting. And maybe you wanted to make it really, really short. Maybe you wanted this to be just like a little tick of a sound. In that case, if we wanted to make it even shorter, because we are sort of confined here, and you want to make sure it's on time with what you're doing, you can go down to, or go up to 1/16 rather. You can see you can cut that note in half. Maybe we want to go to 132 and cut that note in half again, and now we have a very, very short note, but that can add some depth in the music. And that is the basics on how to use MIDI. And obviously you can put any instrument in here that you'd want to. I was just using the piano, but we can quickly go into sounds. We can go into, let's go into brass. Let's just hear that. That's funky. Let's go to Dusky Swell Synth Brass, and we just double click it again, and there you have it. It actually sounds kind of cool. Maybe you wanted this one right here, which sounds a little more aggressive. I usually use MIDI for programming my bass, and we're going to get a little bit more into that in the next video. But if we quickly want to go over here to audio, now that I've shown you how to use MIDI, actually we can bring that back. We can just leave that there. We'll drag that down here. We're going to just quickly delete that MIDI track for now. Now we have an audio track. So a MIDI track and an audio track are different, obviously, because you're going to be programming your MIDI in your MIDI track. That is what you're going to want to do with it. With audio, you can go and insert samples if you really wanted to. So let's go. So this Ableton has tons of samples. So if we go down to here, we just go down the list. You can just listen. Now these are all individual sounds that you're hearing, like hi-hats. So we can just drag that hi-hat in right there. Maybe we want to put a little bit more, right? Maybe we want to get a little bit of just like a basic beat going. And we can play this hi-hat back. Well, there we go. We have a little bit of a hi-hat beat going. So we're going to delete that MIDI just for now. Let's lay down some drums. Now, usually when I am making a beat, going through my process, drums is somewhere I like to start. They set the beat, they set the mood. A good drum loop can really get the creative juices flowing. So let's just get these hi-hats going right here, just to start off. And obviously you can start with whatever you want. You can start with your MIDI first, you can start with your bass, or you can start with your drums. I like to start with drums. I like giving myself a little bit of an idea of where I want to be. And let's drag this out right here. And let's insert a MIDI clip again. Let's go to our sounds. Let's just get some bass. That's a cool bass. Let's double click that, and here we can see a bunch of information about the actual bass itself, this particular sound. You can also find this right here. So if you're in here, you're looking at the piano roll. But if you just click right here, you can do specific things to this bass. And that's the great thing about working with MIDI is the amount of customization you have to your particular sound. So you're going to see a lot of different things in here. What you mostly want to focus on is probably attack, decay, sustain, release, and volume. And you can get a really cool visual when you click this little arrow here about what those things do. So let's just go straight into getting some bass in here. So where is this falling? We can see that it's falling 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, cool. So we know it falls on the 1 and the 2 just because we know the basics of beats and bars, right? 1, 2, 1, 2. So we can reference that when we go to here. So let's just say we want this little bass on the 1, maybe the and. We'll put it on the 4. So that's where I would start normally, is with some drums, maybe some MIDI, some bass thrown in there. And we'll get more into this as we are adding into our beats a little more often using third-party samples, because samples for production are really going to help boost your production, and a lot of producers use samples, and it's a very often used tool in hip-hop especially. So in the next video, that is what I'm going to be showing you. If you haven't already, check out Create to Learn, Taking It Global, and imagineNATIVE, and please go follow those accounts, and also check out the hashtag Create to Learn for all of the other releases that are going to be following under that hashtag. See you in the next one.